Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, did you want them? Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind Dale, head out to show, or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, did you want them? Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions.
Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show. Today's topic is going to be Evergreen Champions. Evergreen Champions. And the code for today can be entered by going to your version of the shop, clicking on that button, copy-pasting in from chat, and getting your shiny Electrum chest. Probably for Evergreens we should have just made it a gold, but oh well. We'll do Electrums anyway, because we're wild and crazy guys. Speaking of which, Martin's with me in the mod pod today. So he'll be grabbing your questions from chat. For those of you who may not be familiar with the Saturday show, I spend the first hour talking on the subject of the day and not really addressing questions from chat. So, but Martin grabs them all, puts them in a little document over here, and then in the second half of the show, after our musical break, I address all the questions, starting with the ones that are on topic first. Then then we do whatever. So today we're going to talk about Evergreen Champions, a name that often confuses people in the game, because they're like, "What? What's that got to do with anything?" Well, Evergreen Champions is a term that kind of got coined in reference to evergreen trees. Trees that are green year-round are considered evergreens. And champions that are available year-round, that aren't limited by event cycles or time gates opening. Things that you can just unlock any given day. That don't actually, that aren't your core champions. These are were referred to as Evergreen Champions. Evergreen Champions. So that includes the champions that you see here on my bench. These are all of our current flock of Evergreen Champions. There's 9 of them currently in the game. More get added on a fairly regular basis. So we're going to talk about each of these and how to obtain them. Now, the game doesn't always differentiate between evergreen and core. champions. Sometimes it makes references to Evergreen, like here in the Sunless Citadel. Only Evergreen champions can be used. And what it means to say is only core and Evergreen champions can be used, because there is an actual differentiator between in-game differentiator between core and Evergreen. Over here, in one of these places, there's a blessing. I don't remember which campaign it is. Here we go. Focus on the core. Tomb of Annihilation increases the damage of the original 12 champions by 400%. The core they're referring to is the core 12 champions. So just know that sometimes the game rules are going to refer to Evergreen as including also the core champions, along with all of these actual Evergreen champions. But there's a difference. There is a difference. Okay. I need something to pick up all that gold. That's annoying me. All right. So let's talk about these different champions. We got 9 to cover today, so I'm gonna rock this out as quickly as we can. We're gonna start off with the very first champion that you can unlock that isn't one of your core champions, and that's Hitch. That's our buddy Hitch from Forest Grey. Hitch is available via the newsletter. So if you just open up your menu in-game, click on the newsletter, and sign up with an active email account, they will send you a code that you put in the game that unlocks Hitch. It's that easy, folks. It's that easy. This makes Hitch kind of straddle the line between core and Evergreen, because you can literally unlock him day one of your Idle Champions journey. You don't really have to do anything super challenging to get him. You can just get him. Just get him by signing up through the newsletter. Hitch says over here is a Delana swap, so this is the first character swap you should get, unless you started with like a promo where they gave away a lot of champions or something. Like Hitch is just an immediate access. Immediate access. Let's level him up a little bit here. So again, Hitch joins us from Forest Grey, human rogue. Got it good. Hitch is a support champion, as you can see by the role here. I do want to point out with Hitch, Hitch is what we like to call a super secret DPS. Hitch was originally DPS / support and still retains a lot of the damage that he used to have, and can function as a DPS if you just like that. A lot of times you can go from Jarlaxle as your starter DPS as a brand new player into Hitch. Hitch has got some nice damage scaling. It works out pretty well. Hitch's basic attack is face stab. Hitch throws a number of daggers and stabs the nearest target in the face. You can increase this. He gets the extra daggers at level 80 with spare dagger, because originally he just stabs people in the face, but then he starts throwing a lot of daggers, and that actually changes quite a bit. As you can see, it actually shows ranged here. It should show melee and ranged. I don't know what's going on with that, because he actually does both. And his ultimate, I like to do the ultimate over here, has more information. Hitch disappears into the shadows and reappears behind the furthest enemy, whom he stabs, and then repeats this for the next four furthest enemies if applicable. So, we can be like, hey, now, hey, stab, and then he just jumps around the screen, and then he comes back, and he's done. Hitch is pretty straightforward in that regard. Natural Performer is kind of the core of his kit. This increases the damage of champions by 1% that can upgrade and be modified by things if their charisma score is 14 or higher. Now, the key here is Hitch's own charisma score is 14 or higher at 17. So Hitch buffs himself. This is why Hitch is not just a support, but also can potentially function as a DPS. So keep that in mind. Again, we already talked about spare dagger. There's a variety of ways to add more daggers to Hitch's kit, and we will go over that. Ricochet is the other main part of Hitch's kit. This comes in after you have the thrown daggers. Hitch's daggers have a 46% chance. Again, it's modified by upgrades and things. Mine's currently 46 to ricochet to another enemy up to 5 times. So his daggers bounce, y'all. Granting 1 stack, with each stack increasing the effect of Natural Performer by 1%. Stacks decay by 10% every 10 seconds. So Hitch, again, Natural Performer, core of his kit. Hitch buffs Natural Performer with Ricochet. So if you have lots of daggers bouncing around the screen, you're actually ramping up the overall damage bonus he's providing with Natural Performer. So more daggers, more buffs. More daggers, more buffs. Speaking of more daggers, one of his specializations is called More Daggers. The other one's called Charismatic. So More Daggers does what it says. It adds another dagger. It says Hitch's base attack attacks 1 additional target, but it is implied he's throwing another dagger, right? It even says up here. So just make sure you understand this is throwing another dagger, not stabbing somebody in the face again. Charismatic increases the effect of Hitch's Natural Performer by 100%, so doubles it. These specializations, there are times when you would choose More Daggers, and there are times when you would choose Charismatic. Early on in your Idle Champion's career, before you get a feat he has that adds another dagger, you would want to pick More Daggers. It just makes more sense. I did a lot of tests trying to see like which one is going to work better when these feats came out. And you know, as long as you have the, if you don't have the dagger feat, add 1 more dagger. It's nice. If you do have the dagger feat and it's slotted, go Charismatic, because there's diminishing returns on the number of daggers bouncing around the field. So yeah, it's one of those situational things based off what kind of feats you're going to slot for him. Additionally, situationally, if you're using Hitch as a DPS and you know you have plenty of damage to get through the adventure, but you're dealing with lots of hit-based or armor-based enemy and you'd like to speed things up, you can always just throw another dagger into the mix. Because it can potentially, not only does it hit, it then potentially bounces up to 5 times. That's a lot of bonus credit for removing hit-based stuff and armor chunks, right? We're just going to go all the daggers all the time this time, even though I have the feat, just because I want lots of daggers bouncing around. Just because I want lots of daggers bouncing around, because it's fun. Yeah, that's it. I was like, that's all, right? Yeah, that's it. That's all you get for Hitch. He's real straightforward. The big deal that he offers in his slot, other than Delana when you're starting out, is the fact that he actually buffs his party. Delana does not. Delana is very selfish. She just buffs herself. Hitch's items are in a bit of a mixed up order compared to what you might be used to, because he got a rework at one point. So his first item, instead of being a pair of Damage All Champions items, slot 1 is actually something that buffs Ricochet. This buffs Ricochet, right? Then you get a pair of Damage All Champions items. Then you get the Natural Performer item. Yeah, it's just the way it is, folks. Then you get ultimate attack damage and ultimate cooldown. Feat-wise, Damage All Champions. But then we start getting into some interesting stuff. So then here's increases the chance of Hitch's daggers ricocheting. As you can see, I like that one. This one's adds another a dagger to the throw. Again, I like that one. I run these two because I find if I run coiled daggers and excess dagger storage, I can go charismatic. I don't need that extra more daggers, and I'm getting a little bit more damage, and I'm getting a lot of bounces. Because his bounces, if he hits a boss, did this get listed here? It's not. Dang it! That needs to be in game. It's in my guide to Hitch. When he throws a dagger and it bounces, it can bounce to the same target multiple times. You know, hand wavy magic. So even if you only have one enemy on the screen, say like a boss, Ricochet can still bounce up to 5 times per dagger. So increasing the chance of Hitch's daggers ricocheting gives you the potential for a larger buff from Natural Performer. Because remember, Ricochet buffs Natural Performer. So keep that. That's why I run these with the extra dagger. I'm maximizing my potential ramping stacks of buffs. But if you don't have those yet, you've also got Natural Performer at 40, just a straight up 40% bonus. You've got a Ricochet. There's a 20 and a 40%. This is the effect, not the chance. And then there's just a straight up Natural Performer at 80% now, which I haven't bought. I don't know. I'll have to now test. That's a new one. I don't know which one's better now under that. This is a new Gregarious. This is a new feat. But early on, I mean, you can just run the 40%ers. Remember, like some people are like, which is better, Natural Performer 40% or Ricochet 40%? Well, Ricochet literally buffs Natural Performer, so it's basically the same. You're going to see that 40% bonus regardless of which one you choose. So, yeah. That's Hitch, folks. Thanks for coming out, Hitch. Next up, the other one that that you can get through semi non-normal means compared to the rest of Evergreens. Nerds. Yes, the candy, folks. Not the people playing D&D. Like me. Nerds. Nerds was a promotion with Nerds. And Wizards of the Coast. They did a whole big thing. And they looped in Idle Champions. And Idle Champions now has Nerds in the game. Now has Nerds in the game. For a long time, this was only available by buying Nerds in the store and then sending in a picture of your receipt. That promotion is over. Now Nerds, when the new shop arrives, when you have this shop and not the old shop, it's currently in testing, so some people have it, some people don't. Once you get this shop, you will be able to go to gem items, and Nerds will be a gem item. They'll be the first gem purchasable champion. And it's 100,000 gems, so it's not really a new player purchase. 100,000 gems is a lot when you're new. But you'll get there. You'll get there. So, Nerds... you know what? Nerds. I have to get angry at Nerds for a second because they're like some champions where not all of their information is necessarily available in game right when you're looking at them. So, and in terms of their basic attack changes based on who's in front of the cart. So Nerds ride around in a mine cart. There are 6 different Nerds, as you can see in the photo down here. But there's only 3 at a time that'll fit in the mine cart. The 9 cart. Oh, that's not it. In the mine cart. So, basic attacks vary. For the fighter, which is the orange nerd, they leap out of the cart and they hit the nearest enemy with their shield. For the ranger, which is the red one, I don't need my finger. Ranger, which is the red one, it shoots a random enemy with their bow. So that's a ranged attack. The default for Nerds is the basic default is melee. Just so you know. For the bard, the green nerd, they strum their lute, sending musical notes flying towards a random enemy. The cleric, the yellow nerd, leaps out of the cart and smacks a random enemy with their mace. The rogue, the pink nerd, disappears and damages the furthest enemy with their caltrops, which are tiny little nerd clusters. It's hilarious. The wizard, the purple nerd, launches a magic missile at a random enemy. So, depending on which nerd ends up in the front, you end up with a different base attack. Now, how do you get the nerds to change their place? You shake the box. Thematically, the nerds are fantastic. So, shake the box is their ultimate. The nerds dive into their cart, causing it to shake, and a random assortment of nerds leap out to replace them. If a specialization is chosen, the front nerd will always be the nerd picked by the specialization. So, every 30 seconds, you could shake the box. So, right now, we've got orange, pink, and red. We're going to shake the box. What do we got now? Now we got red, pink, and yellow. So now suddenly our basic attack is the nerd shooting an enemy with their bow. It doesn't change the picture here, folks. It just changes what they look like out here. So nerds are hilarious. Nerds are hilarious fun. Their abilities, they're kind of all over the place. Everybody has a little bit of a bonus. So fighter increases the damage of all champions behind the nerds when enemies are attacking the nerds while the fighter is active. And active just means in the cart. This is a positional formation ability, so works with champions like Sergeant Nox, Archon, and Artemis. Ranger, when the nerds attack while the ranger is active, so just in the cart, damaged enemies take more damage for the next 15 seconds. So there's a debuff that applies when you have the ranger in the cart. That's nice. Bard increases damage of champions adjacent to the nerds while the bard is active. So when the bard is in the cart, you get another positional formation ability. That's just a damage bonus. Just a damage bonus. Cleric heals all champions in all columns in front of the nerds every second while the cleric is active. So all columns in front mean I can put them all the way back here. And as you can see, Hitch is getting those little green numbers. Again, positional formation ability can give you some heals when you need it, right? Can give you some heals when you need it. Let's get him back up front. Rogue, when the nerds attack while the rogue is active, they leave behind a small nerd-shaped trap filled with smoke, which is smoke powder, which explodes after 5 seconds, dealing 10 times the nerd's normal damage. The nerds also attack a half a second faster while the rogue is active. So yeah, as you can see, here's the little nerds clusters they're leaving behind, and then they go poof into smoke and do damage. Wizard, when the nerds attack while the wizard is active, their initial attack spawns 3 magic missiles, which fly out and deal normal damage to 3 random enemies, if possible. If possible. So this is basically a multi-attack, right? Orange is on it. When the fighter is active, the max health of the nerds is increased. So this is just because normally they're not a tank. They do get, I mean, they can be all of these roles, and they are all of these classes, depending on who's in the cart. Their overwhelm is 15, so it's kind of like a tank, but not really. Yeah. Nerds were specifically designed and balanced to not be super strong. They didn't want them to be in the meta because it wasn't available. Because nerds weren't available for purchase everywhere that Idle Champions is available to play. So after they arrive in the gem shop for everyone, maybe they'll see a bit of a rework. But for now, this is how the nerds work. Now, specializations, there's one for each of them because basically it just decides who's going to always be in the cart at the front. The names for these are fantastic. Orange leader standing by. Red leader standing by. Green leader standing by. Yellow leader standing by. Pink leader standing by. Purple leader standing by. You guys love it. All right, so basically you pick who's going to be in the front of the cart. I'm going to say I want orange leader standing by. And when I shake the cart, when I get to the next level, and I shake the cart, the orange is automatically going to be in the front. It will then rotate between the other two, and I can start, and I can keep shaking the cart every 30 seconds until I get the combination of nerds in the cart that I want. But that's all their abilities, folks. Increase the effect items. You get nerds fighter buff, you get nerds ranger buff, you get nerds bard buff, you get nerds cleric buff, you get nerds orange is on it, the health bonus. That does mean that the rogue and wizard abilities don't get bonuses. They're just straight up, hey, we're going to do a little more damage. And this one's, hey, you get a multi-attack. So they don't get ramping bonuses from items. And then you can reduce the cooldown on the nerds. Honestly, I think they just need to get rid of this item, make the nerds cooldown 30 seconds by default, and then give them another, like an all champs damage or something. I don't know. Because that's a little weak sauce. Feat-wise, damage all champions. You get a health feat. A couple health feats, so if you're using him as a tank, that's great. You can, again, boost fighter, ranger, bard, or cleric, depending on what you're really using. So, they do have some modifications to them. But again, they weren't designed, they don't qualify for any patrons on purpose, and they weren't designed to be super strong. So again, we'll see what happens after they arrive in the gem shop, if they get a rework in the future. But right now, they're just a fun champion that actually fits into the Artemis meta and Artemis formations. But, outside of that, they're They're an adorable candy. Shake the box. Yay! All right. Up next. I guess we'll do this in order. So, the rest of the champions, the rest of the Evergreen Champions that are currently in the game arrive by completing variants in campaigns. First up, if we go look, we're in the Sword Coast, and the Sword Coast holds your first Evergreen. Under Deep Cartography, there's an adventure called Overdue Rendezvous. It rhymes. There's a picture of Dritz Jordan here, because, hey, guess what? This is where you unlock Dritz. This is where you unlock Dritz. So, Dritz Jordan, over here, you might be familiar with him from such hits as every one of his 40-something books that are out about him. Member of the Companions of the Hall, he's a Drow Ranger. Drow Ranger. Are there 33? I thought they were in the 40s by now. I don't know. I've got them all over there. I don't want to count. I've got 2 rows of books because there's so many. Anyway, there's still more books coming out about him, so there you go. So, member of the Community of the Hall. Dritz base attacks change. He alternates between 2 things, as you can see over here on the left. Dual wield Icing Death, which attacks, and then dual wield Twinkle. Dritz attacks the nearest enemy with his scimitar. Then there's a dual wield Twin Scimitar, his nearest enemy with both of his scimitars. So it goes through 3 things. Yeah, there's different effects based off that. We'll get to that. Dritz ultimate Whirl of Steel. Dritz attacks in a whirl of steel, continuing his attack until his sharpened blades don't kill an enemy in 1 hit. So, if you got a lot of damage, if your ultimate does a lot of damage and there's a lot of enemies on the screen, he can just clear them all out. If the price is right, well, if the damage is right. So, Guinevere. Come on, everybody loves Gwen. Dritz attacks have a 25% chance to summon Guinevere to fight by his side for 30 seconds. Guinevere attacks twice and deals the same damage as Dritz and causes a 20-second bleed. There they are. There they are. This Astral Panther. Icing Death. This is one of the weapons. When Dritz attacks an enemy bleeding from Guinevere with Icing Death, he deals more damage, and his next base attack cooldown is reduced by 50%. So just nice little combo effects with when Guinevere is in, based off his attacks. Twinkle. When Dritz attacks an enemy bleeding from Guinevere with Twinkle, he does AoE damage to nearby enemies, giving him some wave clear, clearly. And the original target has a 50% chance to miss their next attack. This is fantastic against bosses, folks. Especially if that boss has an AoE ability that hits the entire party, like, say, Valendra's Shadow Mantle. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. This is a great party-wide defensive feature on Dritz. Companions of the Hall. So with the Companions of the Hall, I think we were talking about this yesterday on GG2E. There are a lot of different types of synergy abilities with affiliations. For the Companions, theirs is kind of straightforward. They do as you see, Dritz increases the bounty in the Hall pool, which is a gold find pool, by 100%. And then it does 400% more damage for each member of the Companions of the Hall in the formation. So what they're trying to do is say, hey, you're going to make a little extra money, but more importantly, Dritz is going to become more powerful based off the number of companions in the formation. Here's the list of the companions. Brunner, Catti-brie, Dritz, Regis, and Wolfgar. Those are the ones that count. Yeah. So it's not, not necessarily the most amazing bonus in the world, but it's a nice bonus. And you might want to use it if you're trying to go with a thematic build. It's going to help you out. Specializations, leader of the companions. I got a bone to pick with CNE. He's not the leader. Brunner is. And Drow Stalker. So leader increases the amount of Dritz bonus, or bounty of the Hall bonus by 100%. All of it. Or just straight up increases damage by 200%. So like if you're doing gold find, usually you're going to grab leader. If you're just doing damage, you're going to usually go Drow, because it's a bigger 200% is a bigger bonus. That's how math works. But it just depends. I tend to usually I run the one with the Companion of the Hall bonus, just because. Why not? That's it for Dritz. All right. Straight up items damage. Of course, he's got a pair of swords. It's just gonna buff his damage, because he's a DPS and only a DPS. Then we get an Icing Death bonus. Again, Icing Death. If we go back up here, this is the one that does the extra damage. So you're buffing, again, more damage for him, but on one out of his, two out of his 3 attacks. Yeah, because his dual wield actually hits with both. Then you're going to buff the Companions of the Hall ability. And then you've got ultimate attack damage and ultimate cooldown. Feat-wise, can you tell I use him for gold find? You got gold find feats. You got self-damage feats. You've got a Companions of the Hall feat. You've got some stat feats. And then there's now a newer feat that's just all the damage for Dritz. All the damage for Dritz. The intelligence feat makes him qualify for Strahd. This is a patron feat. The charisma +2 makes him qualify for, I want to say, Zariel. And that's the wrong button, Gaarawarr. Yes, 10 and 13. Yeah. So Zariel. So the stat feats here in this instance help him qualify for use in patrons, for use in patron stuff. Stuff. All right. So that is currently the only Sword Coast Evergreen. Next stop, Chult. So the Tomb of Annihilation campaign actually has 2 Evergreens available. One is Azaka, Stormfang, the Favor Fountain, and Idle Champions. Azaka is a little unusual in that there are 2 variants you have to complete to unlock Azaka. There's Azaka's Procession Part 1 and Azaka's Procession Part 2. So this is just a qualifier. Once you complete Part 2, you will get Azaka. The other Evergreen that we're going to talk about when we get here is Dragon Bait. Dragon Bait is unlocked via Soriel's Resolve, which is in the very last adventure. This is... I guess I should have talked about how when you're completing these variants, what challenges there are. Dritz is not that challenging. We'll go back and touch that in a minute. Soriel's Resolve is the probably biggest challenge you're going to run into in your early game experience. I consider it the start of your transition from early game into mid game because of the formation building knowledge it requires to complete. Yeah. So, but real quick, let me point out, all of these variants are going to be a little difficult in some way, but this one just basically Dritz takes up a slot in the formation. That's it. So you have to unlock Dritz by using only 8 champions in Overdue Rendezvous. It's kind of the easiest restriction you're going to run into. For Azaka's Procession Part 2, it's kind of the same thing, right? Hey, Azaka's going to be in the middle, so you're running 9 champions through Tomb of Annihilation. The bigger challenge here than the 9 champions is just that you're dealing with a Sarah rack. Spoiler alert. With 9 champions, which is armored and hit based and tentacle thingies. There's a lot going on here, right? But Azaka, let's throw Azaka in so we can talk about Azaka. Azaka Stormfang. Azaka is actually a lycanthrope. She is a were-tiger. Listed as human fighter. But yeah, you can say over here, cursive lycanthropy. DPS support and gold, so tries to do all the things. Yep. Basic attack, pick them off as a human. Azaka leaps into the air and strikes a random enemy. 33% cleave chance, so cleave means like a small AoE. Small AoE. So as you can see, she's just out here doing her thing. But if you'll note, there's a little bar over her head that's filling in. Right here. She's got a little tiger. That's because we're diving into her curse of lycanthropy. After 20 attacks in human form, she changes into a were-tiger for 60 seconds, increasing her damage by 400%. So, she doesn't really unleash the beast in terms of damage until she becomes a were-tiger at 20 attacks. So if you're really looking to have her do lots of damage, you need to get her into were-tiger form as quickly as possible. Keep her there as often as possible, right? Guiding Hand. Hey, that might sound familiar to people who watch streams. This is where Mars took his stream name from. Mars' Guiding Hand. Guiding Hand increases all gold found by 1%. The ability is reduced by 50% while Azaka is in were-tiger form. So when she killing, she not supporting. And when she's supporting, she not really killing. Right? That's kind of the way it works. Taste for Blood. Oh, wait, no. Adept Traveler increases the damage of all champions by 1% if they're in an exterior location. I'm indoors, so I'm not getting that. How do I know? This says underground, right? I'm not in an exterior location, I don't think. This is one of those weird things. Does it show it right now? No, I don't think so. They have stacks here, and that's not even a stack-based ability. But anyway, it's only outdoors, folks. Only outdoors. Taste for Blood. While in were-tiger form, Azaka does an additional 25% more damage per attack. Stacking multiplicatively, resets when she changes back into human form. So right now, were-tiger, right? Every time she attacks, she's getting a damage bonus, and the damage bonus is going up multiplicatively. So once again, if you can make her attack real fast while she's in were-tiger form, she could potentially ramp up to a lot of damage. That's what it's going for. Specializations, you can either resist the curse or lycanthrope forever. Resist the curse reduces the amount of time Azaka spends in were-tiger form. So this is her support setup, and gold find. Lycanthrope forever, it reduces the number of attacks needed to trigger Azaka's were-tiger transformation. So this is the DPS spec. We're going to go resist the curse, folks. Resist the curse is key for her ultimate. We're going to take a moment to talk. Well, does she have anything else? I don't think she does. Nope. Yeah. Her ultimate is the favor fountain I was referring to earlier when I said Azaka is a favor fountain in the game. Azaka's ultimate is Mask of the Beast. Azaka dons her Mask of the Beast, summoning 2 tigers to her side that attack every 5 seconds. The tigers stay for 30 seconds. If Azaka specs with Lycanthrope forever, the tiger attacks count towards her were-tiger transformation, thus keeping her in DPS form longer. And her were-tiger cooldown is paused during her ultimate, thus making her do a heck of a lot more damage ramping, right? So definitely useful if you go Lycanthrope forever. Just continues. It basically gives you a damage bonus button for Azaka because it's going to keep her in that form longer. But if she specs with resist the curse, the tiger's attacks cause enemies to drop gold even if they aren't killed. This is the key to the manipulative meta referred to as Azaka farming. Where, basically the tigers bully enemies into giving them their lunch money. They don't kill them. They just bully them. Over and over and over again. And this means you can do lots of manipulative things, like you can push as far as you possibly can with a regular group, manipulate a boss level down to 1 enemy that's on its own, swap Azaka in, and then fill the formation with gold find champions. You don't need to worry about damage anymore, because you don't need to kill anything. And then you hit Azaka's ultimate, and it's just all the gold everywhere, all over the ground. You pick it up, and there's lots of it, because guess what? You boosted your gold find percentage way up higher than it should be normally for where you are. And you can just keep doing that repeatedly, because the enemy's not going to die, because you don't have any damage anymore, right? So this is what Azaka farming is at its core. Is manipulating a situation to end up with 1 enemy and high gold find, and then just spamming that ultimate. Yeah. Item-wise, there's a straight damage item. There's a damage all champions item, because, again, they're trying to be a DPS and a support. You get the Guiding Hand bonus, the Taste for Blood bonus, the Adept Traveler bonus, and then there's Ultimate Attack cooldown reduction. Feat-wise, damage all champions, Gold Find. I really probably should have Gold Find in for when I Azaka farm, huh? She doesn't have a lot of feats, folks. She could use some love on a feat pass. So that's Azaka. Again, that's the first champion that you will unlock in Tomb of Annihilation. The second champion is our friend here, Dragonbait, the Sorial Paladin. Let's go over here real quick. Tomb of Annihilation, Sorial's Resolve, right here. So, as you can see, this is going to be a 9-champion formation. They've got an X in the very front. But in reality, this is an NPC. Dragonbait joins you. It's an NPC version of Dragonbait. But he doesn't attack. He just buffs the party while he's alive. So during the trash enemy stages, so the non-boss levels, he's going to provide a boss that lets you clear out all of that garbage fast. When you get to the boss level, the boss is going to wreck his face pretty quickly. So don't rely on his bonus on the boss levels. Just know it's getting you through the trash levels easier. The hardest part here is Valendra Shadow Mantle resurrects once per boss fight every 50 areas into the adventure you are. Each time she resurrects, she greatly increases her damage and health. Each time Valendra resurrects, Dragonbait's resolve grows stronger, increasing his health, damage reduction, and the buff he provides. So you have to go to area 400, so that means at area 50, 1 resurrection, then 2 at 100, and then it's going to go up by 2 every 100 levels after that. So by the time you end, you're having to kill her over and over. By the time you get to 400, you're having to kill her over and 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 over. And every time you take, she's armored, so every time you burn through those 50 chunks, she gets 50 more, and her damage and health go up. So this is a fight where you have to learn how to balance not just your damage building, but your survivability on your formation. I've got a guide for that. Check it out. Because there's way too... I've literally done a Gaarawarr's Guide to Dragonbait where we just discussed that fight. So there's a lot going on there. You'll want to hit that up. Coming in here, Fast Friends. Basic attack. Slice through. Dragonbait attacks the closest enemy with his sword, hitting all nearby enemies with a small cleave. Basic ability. Fast Friends increases the health of all other champions. So this is the health share feature. Gets it right away, which is fantastic. You'll love to see it. Shin State is the core of Dragonbait's kit. So Dragonbait increases the damage of champions within a certain number of slots. I know this says 2, but it starts out at 1, and it's manipulatable through the people you put in your formation. Scent Pie Crust. The range of Shin State is increased by 1 for each healer in the formation, stacking additively. So we have, this is why Shin State is currently at 2, because we have nerds in, and nerds are tagged as a healer. Scent Roasted Vegetables increases the effective Shin State by 1% for each enemy attacking Dragonbait and for each enemy in Rage stack. This effect is increased by 100% for each other tanking champion in the formation. A lot going on here. This is basically Dragonbait's ramping buff. As you get further and it takes you a little longer to kill, he provides you more damage. And also, if you're in a multi-tank formation, that's going to actually boost things as well. Scent Meat Sauce increases the effective Shin State for each support champion in the formation. So, usually you've got a lot of supports, so this is just kind of a pure bonus increase for Shin State. And the increase amount is based on how close the support champion is to Dragonbait. There's a chart here, folks. So, Meat Sauce is best when you're when the supports are 2 or 3 slots away. 2 or 3 slots away from Dragonbait. Keep that in mind. It's going to come in here in a moment. We're going to have a test. Holy Avenger. is the ultimate. Dragonbait jumps out and strikes with their Holy Avenger, dealing damage to all enemies on the screen, and immediately clearing any stun or charm effects on champions. This is the only stun charm clear we have in the game. This is it. So if you ever end up in a situation where you're doing a variant and stuns are just really wrecking your party, Dragonbait can help you with that, just on a cooldown timer. Any fiends or undead left alive are marked with an overlay of the Holy Avenger. Champions who are marked take 400% additional damage from champions. Champions who attack marked enemies deal 400% additional damage. I was getting there. Specialization choice, we can go roasted chicken or herbs and spices. Roasted chicken changes that distance calculation for meat sauce. So it makes it so that 4 and 5 away is the best bonuses. I know these numbers are vastly smaller than the ones I was showing before, and that's because these aren't showing the difference from the buffage that you get from upgrades and stuff. But just know that it's still, 4 or 5 slots away. It just moved things around. If you're 4 or 5 slots away from lots of supports, it's way better to choose roasted chicken. Herbs and spices increases effective Dragonbait's roasted vegetables ability by 50%. If we go back and we look again as a refresher, roasted vegetables is the ramping damage bonus. And when it says champions of formation targeted 2, they're talking about the number of tanks in the formation, because again, nerds counts as a tank. So does Dragonbait. Make sure we have everything. To my knowledge, that's everything. Yep. All right. Item-wise, damage all champions. Health item. Then we get roasted vegetables, meat sauce, ultimate attack down, ultimate attack damage, ultimate attack cooldown reduction. Feats, damage all champions, health, the normal kinds of things you would see. What you don't see, well, no, you do. We get 1 feat for overwhelm. It's a blue. And then you get Shen state bonuses. So real straightforward. Real straightforward in that regard. Dragonbait is a fantastic tank. I enjoy Dragonbait quite a bit. They are one of the kind of the keys that people rely on for mid to late game Modron automated gem farming with Briv, because of that ramping damage bonus. All right, after Tomb of Annihilation, we jump over to Waterdeep. Waterdeep, at the very end, at the very bottom of Waterdeep and Altardeep, is a mission called the Gargoyle. This is where you unlock the Gargoyle, aka Ulcoria Stone Mantle. Stone Mantle? I don't know. Ulcoria. You do get your full formation here, folks, so that's a plus. Unfortunately, if you don't have a magic base attack, chances are you're not going to be able to be used here. There are a handful of core champions that don't have magic base attacks that they let you use, but for the most part, magic base attack only. So this is it can be a fairly restrictive run for you if you don't have a nice bench of champions. There's also this whole thing where different factions have different buffs. But honestly, the biggest issue is just making sure you have magic attack champions. And then the boss, which, again, I've got a guide for that. Don't want to spoil it. Kind of fun. The boss mechanics for these variants, they tend to go... Nowadays, they tend to really go all in on making sure that the boss you're fighting on these unlocks is a fun fight. Most of the time. So Ulcoria is over here, slot 10. There we go. There she is. There she is, folks. Miss Faerun. So Ulcoria is a dwarf wizard. Neutral good, no affiliation. Base attacks, magic missiles. Starts off with 3 of them. Oh, that's the wrong tab, Gaarawarr. Spellcaster School is the core of Ulcoria's kit. So that means other abilities are going to be based around Spellcaster School. So make sure you understand what Spellcaster School does. Ulcoria gains a stack of Spellcaster School for each champion in the formation with a magical base attack. Each stack increases the damage of these champions by 8%, stacking multiplicatively. That's the good way. That's the good way. So remember, when we look through here, we're not dealing with a lot of magic attack champions, but we could potentially get a magic attack, like if we had, you know, if we either shake this card a lot or spec differently, because we're always going to have the fighter. Basically, the fighter is in the front of the cart means we're always going to be melee. But if we had gone with like the bard or with the wizard, they would count for Ikoria. That's kind of the way that works. So right now, Spellcaster School, not doing a whole lot, only 1 stack. But if you get a lot of members of Spellcaster School, that's a nice buff. That means any champion with a magic base attack gets a nice buff. Defender of Waterdeep. This increases the damage of everyone in the formation if you are on an adventure in Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign. So this is kind of their local buff, in a sense. This part's only active in Waterdeep, but it's not a huge number, so it's, you know, but it is a bonus. Watchful Order. This is the part that's built off Spellcaster School. So Ikoria provides additional buffs based on the number of Spellcaster School stacks she has. 3 or more. These all stack up. The higher you go, you get all of the previous ones. 3 or more, attack speeds of champions counting towards Spellcaster School are reduced by 0.5 seconds. 5 or more increases the positional formation ability effects of champions counting towards Spellcaster School by 35% for each stack. 7 or more, each time a champion counting towards Spellcaster School attacks, there's a 50% chance that they'll get to attack again immediately. 9 or more increases the base value of Spellcaster School by 200%. The key number you're shooting here for when you're using Ikoria is to get 5 or more. If it so happens that your best party ends up getting you more stacks and you hit 7 or even 9, great. But really, if you're not hitting 5 with Ikoria in your formation, she's probably not your best choice. You'll probably get something better from somebody else. And this is the big one anyway, because this one boosts those positional formation abilities. Ultimate-wise, the choice here is between damage or crowd control, really. So the Shield Guardian basically does massive damage for each stack of Spellcaster School that she has. Urchin Pranks, basically the 3 urchins, Nat, Jinx, and Squiddy, show up on the field and start pelting enemies with stuff. They knock them back, they stun them, they do a little bit of damage, but it's more just crowd control effects. We're going to go Shield Guardian just so we can demonstrate that one. Boom, the Shield Guardian appears back here, walks out, and just starts unleashing, right? But because we didn't have lots of stacks, it didn't do lots of things. But that's what it looks like. Kind of neat, I think. So pick those based off what you're looking for. That's everything. Pair of damage all champions items. We get a Spellcaster School bonus. Fantastic. Then there's a Defender of Waterdeep bonus. Sure. Ultimate attack damage and ultimate cooldown. And then over here, we get a little bit crunchier, is how I like to refer to it, because you can really buff very specific things. So we get some damage all champions items. We get Spellcaster School. But here, we can increase the base attack cooldown reduction of Watchful Order by 40%. That's interesting. We can increase the positional formation buff of Watchful Order by 40%. That's a little more interesting. Of course, there's the Defenders Waterdeep bonus, a higher Spellcaster School, higher Defenders. But if you're really trying to get like as much cooldown reduction as as fast as attacking as possible, you've got a feat for that. It's not a huge difference, but it's more. Or you can just go, hey, all in on positional formation abilities, right? So some neat options there with Ikoria. That is currently the only Evergreen in Waterdeep. Tomb is the only campaign that has 2 Evergreens currently. Next up is Raya. Raya comes from Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. So if we descend into Avernus, you travel all the way through this map over here. You follow this little twisted path and you come all the way back here. to Raya Reborn under the Idleglen adventure. You get all your champions, but only champions with strength of 10 or higher and charisma of 13 or higher can be used. Spoiler alert, these are the qualifications for Zariel, Patron Zariel. In each area, additional fiends sent by Zariel appear. One random fiend spawns at the end of the first wave, and additional fiend is added every 100 areas. So by the time you're here to 600, you've got like 6 fiends at once. Each fiend has a unique buff effect for effect on the area. I'm going to hit this as quickly as I can. This is real. This gets real difficult because of those fiend effects. One of the fiend effects, when the fiend hits your formation, it disables anybody that it attacks, and it basically can shut down your entire tank line and remove all of their bonuses. Hit my guide up for more information, but this is one of those exceptions to this rule in the game. The very best way to approach this is to not really bother necessarily with tanks, but instead use more support champions, the best support buffs you have, which some might come on tanks, but the best support buffs you have that don't involve ramping based off being attacked. They just need to be straight up buffs, which may mean you end up with no tank in your tank line, potentially. I think I had Dragon Bait, but it just depends on who's going to be your biggest buff, because the idea is to kill those fiends before they get to your formation. One of the fiends, like I said, if they touch the front line, disables everybody in shuts off all their abilities. One of the other fiends, and all of them will spawn from 600 on, so the last 25 levels are the biggest challenge. One of the fiends causes them all to move very fast, which means they show up, and bam, they're on your formation. So you need to be able to kill them all before they get there, in that split second before they get there. So having just tons of damage and not worrying about tanks here can get you past. It's kind of what you're going to have to do to get from 601 through 625. Raya's right here, right now. Raya is a human paladin. Human celestial for lore reasons. You'll get there. Support. So pure support. Base attack, Sword of Zariel. Raya leaps out and slashes at a random enemy, cleaving nearby enemies as well. Raya's all about that lawful good life, just so you know. Searing Radiance. Raya imbues adjacent champions with her Searing Radiance, causing their attacks to deal more damage. This effect is quadrupled against fiends. Guess what's in Baldur's Gate, folks? Fiends. Lots of fiends. So she exists to help you kill fiends. Again, positional formation ability. So adjacency effects. Echoes of Zariel. The gaze of Zariel turns from Raya and sweeps across the formation, looking at a random number of unique champions before returning to Raya. Once it returns to Raya, it increases the effect of Searing Radiance by 140% for each champion it looked at, including Raya, stacking multiplicatively. This is manipulatable with the specialization choice, so that you can make sure you're getting a roughly fixed amount of damage once you've chosen your specialization based off your formation. So again, it's just a boost to Searing Radiance. Celestial Champions, all lawful aligned champions' damage is increased by 1%. All good aligned champions' damage is increased by 1%. If they're lawful good, they double dip. So, ideally, your DPS when you're using Raya's support is lawful good. However, they can just be lawful or good now. They're much more flexible. This was a recent update. So keep that in mind. Specialization choices, you're either going to go for Champions of Good or Champions of Law. Again, this is where we're talking about Zariel's gaze. You want to pick the higher number because you want Zariel looking at as many people as possible. And they do the math for you down here, so that's nice. So just once you have your full formation built, pick the higher number and you're good to go. Ultimate is Avatar of Zariel. Where's it at? Here it is. Raya launches to the sky. She lands by slamming the Sword of Zariel into the ground with a shockwave, summoning Zariel. which is one of our patrons, and her friend Lulu. While Raya communes with Zariel, Lulu zips around the board, putting all enemies to sleep for 10 seconds. While the enemies are asleep and Raya remains in her pose, the champions deal massive damage against them. When the 10 seconds is complete, Raya removes a sword and swings it in a massive circle for more damage. Here we go. There's patron Zariel. There's Lulu flying around, Lulu the Hollyphant. And then we're going to get an AoE cleave here with the sword when it's done. And then she'll return to the formation. But during this pose time, she's buffing the whole party. Buffing the whole party. Items, damage all champions. We get Searing Radiance. We get Echoes of Zariel. We get Celestial Champion. And then the ultimate attack cooldown reduction. So really good itemization here for Raya. Feat-wise, damage all champions. You get Searing Radiance. You get Echoes of Zariel. Lots and lots of Echoes of Zariel. One increases the effect. One increases the pre-stack bonus. Pre-stack increases are generally better than post-stack increases. In fact, I don't know if there's a case where post-stack is better. Usually pre-stack's always better. So that's why I've got that one going on for me. Yep, that's Raya. Pretty straightforward. Again, all about that lawful good life. Next up, our doppelganger friend, Xerophone. Xerophone. Oh, no, that's the wrong person. Game. There we go. Xerophone arrives from the Icewind Dale campaign. The Icewind Dale campaign. Oh, no. Why, is it all the way over here? Yeah. Yes. All right. All the way over here, the Fall of Yithrin. A lesson in classes. A lesson in classes. If you have never watched the show Formation Save on this channel, then you will not know that a lesson in classes is generally considered to be one of the more difficult variants in the game, simply because a lot of people, I think, just have trouble. Even by the time they get to Icewind Dale, a lot of people seem to have trouble building formations. Building solid formations. So we see this a lot on the Formation Save. This variant is all about your ability to build a formation with the champions available on your bench. Xerophone is in the formation all the way back here, so that means you got to beat this with 9. However, only one champion of each class can be included in the formation at any time. Multi-class champions, like nerds, that's 6. They count for all of their classes, and thus one champion could remove multiple classes from your available options. Yeah. That's really all you need to know. So using champions that have that are a single class, building a formation with your best single class champions, potentially using one that's a double class if their bonus is that big, is going to be kind of a big deal. All right. So Xerophone Doppelganger. They stab a random enemy. Not always, but when they're attacking, they're stabbing a random enemy. Their ultimate is the key to their kit, and that's why it's the first thing that's available. The second you unlock Xerophone's ultimate, you want to park a familiar on it and leave the familiar there the rest of the time. So, Xerophone picks an enemy from the current adventure and imitates them for 60 seconds. While the imitation lasts, Xerophone does not attack, but increases the damage of all champions. If the enemy has been seen in the past 15 seconds, the damage increase is further buffed. We're going to park an ultimate there. And boom, now Xerophone's a B. Oh boy. B. Aggressive. B. Aggressive. But he's just going to hang out there as a B and chill. Now, the key here is, as you'll see, that timer on his ultimate is 8 minutes long, folks. What? Xerophone's specializations are built around reducing the cooldown timer. So you want to pick the highest number. Whatever the highest number is. Boom. There's a 5. Now we chunk down our cooldown timer, as you can see. Let's get another one up. There's a 6. That's fantastic. There's a 6. That's fantastic. The lower you can get the cooldown, the better. This one doesn't matter either way. They're matched. Because you want to spam that ultimate as often as possible for reasons that we'll get to in a moment. But just know that you want to park a familiar there. You want to, you're picking the highest numbers because you want that to be the lowest cooldown as possible. So, adaptable is the ability we're looking at here. Increase the damage of all champions by 100%. Further increased by 25% for each stack of adaptable Xerophone has. Each champion provides adaptable stacks based on the number of specializations that they don't qualify for. So this is a nice little bonus. It's not something you build towards because, again, we want to focus on reducing Xerophone's ultimate timer as much as possible, but this is a bonus just based off leftovers, basically. Minion meets Master. When the only enemy alive during Perfect Imitation is a boss, it increases the damage bonus. It stacks multiplicatively every second, so this is basically a boss killer ability. Repeated Imitation, here's the big one. Increases the damage bonus of Perfect Imitation, that's the ultimate, by 5% each time it's used in an adventure, stacking multiplicatively up to 500 times. Stacks reset when the adventure is reset. So, the more times you can smash that ultimate in a run, the more damage bonus Xerophone provides to the party. This can get real big. This can get real big. If you're just doing short runs to like a couple hundred levels with Xerophone, he's never going to provide a major bonus. He's going to provide a decent bonus, but it's not going to be amazing. But when you start doing deeper runs that take longer, and he's hitting that ultimate all the time, and you get 300, 400, 500 stacks, the bonus gets pretty good. And now with I want to call out Dungeon Master. Dungeon Master, their ultimate resets the longest cooldown ultimate that's available. So you can actually time and swaps their cooldowns. So you can put Dungeon Master in with Xerophone, hit Xerophone's ultimate, immediately park a familiar on Xerophone's ultimate, immediately park an ultimate on Dungeon Master's right after that. Dungeon Masters will reset Xerophone's, and then they'll cool down together and then trigger again. So effectively you get credit for 2 in the same time as you would get credit for 1 when you're using Dungeon Master and Xerophone together. Speeds up your ramping of that effect, and you can always swap out Dungeon Master later. Weak Spot increases damage bonus of Perfect Imitation by 25% each time the enemy Xerophone is imitating, or an enemy with the same name, is killed during the use of that Perfect Imitation. So again, kind of a ramping damage bonus if all the enemies on a level are the same. That's it. Item-wise, damage all champions, adaptable, minion meets master, repeated imitation. This is the big one. This is the one that you would want to target with like shinies. And then weak spot. Feat-wise, we get damage all champions, we get adaptable, we get minion meets master, we get repeated imitation. Then we get all of the stat feats because you can basically go through and make Xerophone qualify for all the patrons. Right? There we go. Move Xerophone back. And our last, but certainly not our least, Evergreen Champion is Blushi. Blushi. Not Belushi, like the famous people, but Blushi. Blushi comes to us from the Wild Beyond the Witchlight campaign from Downfall. Bully for You is the variant. Basically, this X represents a bullywug who is a bully. And every 25 areas, they bully you out. They bully one of your champions out of the formation. This is a champion removal variant. However, it's not random. It actually follows very specific rules, and you can manipulate your situation to always make the bullywug go to the person that you want them to, as long as you play your cards right. So there's a little bit of planning that's required here, but ultimately, super fun adventure. You can't use fire breath potions after area 100, so you can't just click through this one, but you have to actually, do the manipulatable thing every 25 areas. I think it's a lot of fun. I've knocked all the patron versions of that out pretty quickly. Once you get the strategy down, super straightforward. Blushi is our Bullywug Warlock. As you can say, it says Blushi the first here for reasons. Tanking support starts off as support, as you can see by the Overwhelm. Taunting Blast is the base attack. Blushi attacks with an Eldritch Blast, dealing damage and taunting the enemy, if possible. So Blushi is one of 2 tanks in the game currently that have a taunt effect. Soul Gatherer, first ability. Whenever an enemy dies, Blushi gains a soul stack. Boss enemies instead give her 15. Blushi increases the damage of champions in the 2 columns behind her by 1% for each soul stack, stacking additively. When changing areas, she loses 20% of her stacks. So the more you kill, the more Blushi buffs. Spirit carries on. When Blushi dies, she's replaced in the formation with her spirit. The spirit continues to attack and can be attacked like normal. While in spirit form, her health is increased by an amount, and her overwhelm is increased by 20. This is when she becomes a tank. Each time you defeat a boss enemy, her next of kin returns to the formation. What that means is when you defeat the boss with her in spirit form, on the next level, she comes back in her regular form, and this number will increment. It will then be Blushi the second, Blushi the third, Blushi the fourth, Blushi the fifth. This is the key to getting her achievement. A life well lived. When Blushi is in spirit form, Soul Gatherer's damage boost gets a 10% increase, stacking multiplicatively. That's the good way. For each boss level that Blushi had made it through alive during this adventure. This means you want Blushi alive as much as possible. You want Blushi alive as much as possible. You only want her dead towards the end when you need her as a tank and you need that extra damage. If you can complete whatever you're doing with her alive, fantastic. Specializations. She has 2 sets of specialization choices. The first one focuses on the number of soul stacks she generates. So basically, she doubles it based off the type of DPS you have. So melee, ranged, or magic-based DPS. That's all she's looking at. So pick the one that matches your primary DPS, so she can gain as much stacks as possible. A grave situation. While Blushi's in spirit form, enemy attacks against her increase her current soul stacks by 1%. So she doesn't even need to kill. If you're getting to the point where you can't kill on a level, being hit ramps up her soul stacks, and it's a heck of a lot better this way. 1% by regular enemies, 15% by bosses, and her cap increases to 100,000. Letting her ramp her damage up over 9,000. They really should have put like the first cap is 9,000. That would have been hilarious. Anyway, moving on. Don't croak, Blushi. This is the finally at 200. She gets her health share. Increases the health of all other champions by 20% of her max spirit health. This wording means she shares her health based on her spirit form, even when she's alive. It's an interesting little twist there that's unique to Blushi. Second set of specializations, you can either make her take half damage or increase the soul stacks from a grave situation. Let me tell you, folks, the soul stacks are going to ramp up on their own. I tend to just go resilient spirit, but you do you. You do you. That's far enough. All right. I don't think we have anything else after that. No. Ultimate is Spirit Charge. Where's it at? Right here. Bullywug spirits fly in, picking up each enemy and tossing them back 25% of the screen, dealing damage to each of them. So this is a screen-wide damage effect in crowd control. There weren't a lot of enemies on the screen. You could kind of see them at the top of the screen, and then they dipped down, and then they grabbed a couple people. If there's a lot of enemies on the screen, there's tons of them, and they pick them all up and drop them in the back and do damage. Hard to do when we're not building up lots of enemies. Hard to demonstrate, I should say. Damage all champions items. Soul Gatherer item. Health bonus from Spirit carries on. So this is the tanking item. Life well lived. Ultimate attack damage, ultimate cooldown reduction. Feat wise, you get damage all champions. You can increase the max stacks of Soul Gatherer. If you want, once you're at 100,000, that raises up to 140,000. That's pretty neat. You've got Soul Gatherer ones. You've got the health bonus for tanking. It's not as good of a health feat as regular tanks get. It's 20%. It's kind of halfway between the 15 and 30. On the lower end of the half, it's not great. It's okay. I have trouble actually killing her off. So she's pretty. She survives a lot when I'm trying to do variants with her, is what I'm saying. You get overwhelmed feats, bigger life well lived. That's all, folks. That's all of our current stable of Evergreen Champions. Took a little of this is one of the longer ones. Took 75 minutes for me to go through. So that means our Q&A period is only going to be about 40 minutes long because we're going to take a short musical break while I drink some water and not use my voice. Today's Bardic Inspiration Saturday morning Gar tunes is going to be the first one up is going to be Celeste, Cleric of Selune. I'll be back in just a few minutes.
We're gonna turn the undead. Yeah, you heard what I said. We're gonna put them to bed. Rain strike on their heads. The ground we tread, turning red, we keep pushing ahead. The goddess of the moon, yeah, she goes by Saloon, Gonna fight all the ghoulies while the bards play their tune, And if you squeal, I'll drop the heel and get you back in the field. Well, I'm just out here trying my best, but my team forgot that I need a long rest. How to keep them from dying is anyone's guess. Will we ever finish this quest? Oh, in the jewel of the north, Valendra's army came forth. Zombies attacking in force. I'm out of mana, of course. We'll have to smite to end the fight, but we'll sleep soundly tonight. Dracolich flying in. How are we gonna win? We don't know where to begin. Things are looking so grim. You'll have to deal. I'm out of heels. God, please take the wheel. Well, I'm just out here trying my best, but my team forgot that I need a long rest. How to keep them from dying is anyone's guess. Will we ever finish this quest? Time to cry. Real it's like we'll get you back in the fight. Well, I'm just out here trying my best, but my team forgot that I need a long rest. How to keep them from dying is anyone's guess. Will we ever finish this quest? I don't know.
And I'm back, folks. Martin was doing a wonderful job during the 75 minutes of talking through all 9 Evergreen Champions. I have about a dozen questions over here that I'm going to get to. If you have any other questions, if any other questions come up while I'm answering these, feel free to drop them in chat. Martin will grab them. You only have to do it once. Martin's great at his job. Jail Crow. Oh, wait, actually, we'll come back to that one. That wasn't on topic. We'll do the stuff on Evergreens first. Jather, so I got Melf from the newsletter. Does this classify as an Evergreen Champion? No, because it was occasionally what you got was a skin for Melf. That if you didn't have the champion, also unlock the champion. These are things. This is a great reason to sign up for the newsletter. Every year during the holiday season in the winter, they tend to send out a holiday themed skin for a champion, and that can give you a free champion unlock. It doesn't mean it's an evergreen. It just means they were really nice during the holidays. How do you get items for them? Electrum chests will open up gear for any champion that you own. Otherwise, you need named chests for Melf, or you need patron chests that patron Melf qualifies for. I don't think we had a lot of questions. Cancer Xerophone is they them. Yes. If I misspoke, that's my fault. Xerophone is they them. They are a doppelganger. They are gender neutral. Sheba Kevin, I have 34 heroes and E19 favors. Is it worth it for me to try for Blushi now, or should I wait? Your favors probably a little low, potentially. Here's the thing. Here's when I'm trying to unlock an evergreen in the later campaigns, I want to have enough favor where I can hit soft cap on all the champions. Now the soft cap just went up, so it's going to take even more favor. But I'm trying to get soft cap before I'm getting to the level that's going to be like the level that unlocks them that I have to beat, right? So if we look at the Wild Beyond the Witchlight and we go over here, you got to get to 600. You will hit soft cap around between 400 and 500 normally. Probably at E19, you'll definitely hit soft cap before 600. It just may be a little challenging and slow to get to that point. In the 400 to 500s, it might stall out a little bit in the early 400s. So maybe getting a little more favor would probably be beneficial. It's just going to make it easier for you. You'll hit soft cap no matter what, but by 600 with E19. You have enough champions, though. That's the key here. You will lose a total of 23 champions on your way to 600. That means because it's a 10 champion formation with a bully in it, that bullywug, you only need 9 champions. So that means as long as you have 32 champions, you can end up with a full formation in bully for you at the end. So you have enough champions. The key is going to be, again, maybe get a little more favor. I would just feel more comfortable with a little favor if I were doing it. But the key is then going in with the right plan. You need to know which 9 champions you want to end up with. And then you've got to, what I call, burn all the other champions first on your way to 600. I have a strategy for this. I'm in the middle of updating all of my champion guides. There's 101 of them right now. It's going to take a little bit. When I get to Blushis, I will be explaining my strategy that works for me 100% of the time, and should work for you 100% of the time, on how to burn champions and end up with the exact formation you want. I just don't know when that's going to get updated, but that will end up being in my guide to Blushi. So yeah, if you go in with a good strategy, 34 is 2 more than you need. Let's see, anything else? Okay. The only other thing referencing evergreens. Silly Simon, hoping to get off on the right foot with dismantling. Will you be dismantling any evergreens? So here's the thing. There's 2 types of dismantle available. One is a full dismantle, one's a legendary dismantle. Full dismantle is only available for a Ashar, Briv, and Human. None of those are evergreens. Legendary dismantle is available for everyone, but honestly, I have no reason to use legendary dismantle. I put legendaries on the people I wanted legendaries on, and I'm still good with those decisions. I'm still good with those decisions. I did dismantle my Ashara yesterday to demonstrate on stream, but I also explained very clearly that I don't have any problems with Ashara. I'm still going to use her. In fact, I already went and put all of her item levels back on her. It's actually a little better distributed now with the blacksmith item contract change. And I put both of her evergreens back on her. Or both of her legendaries back on her. What I haven't done is put all of her guilds back, because I'm opening up silver chests to get natural shinies. Then I'm going to drop my golds back on her the way I want them. So she's going to end up actually in a better situation, because after dismantling her, because I'm going to get to put the goldens exactly where I want them. And I'm going to end up with 6 effectively free potions of polish that I can put anywhere else I want. But I did not dismantle Ashara because I wasn't going to use Ashara anymore. Ashara is still every bit as powerful as she was before. I see people saying Ashara is evergreen. Folks, you weren't around for the beginning of this. I can tell. Tell me you weren't around for the beginning of this show without telling me you weren't around for the beginning of this show. Ashara is not an evergreen. She's a core champion. She's a core champion. She's part of the core 12 champions. She's the first champion you ever get in the game. The first 12 bench slot, or the only 12 bench slots, that first champion you start the game with, those are your core champions. Char is one of those. Char is one of those. Evergreens, specifically, that term was specifically coined to refer to champions that you unlock. You have to go unlock somehow. So she is a core champion because she's there. As long as you have the gold to buy her, she's there. Evergreens, you have to go do something else to actually get. And that's what we talked about today. There's only 9 evergreen champions. Now, the game is confusing to people. It considers, like when it says only evergreen champions can be used, it considers core part of evergreen. But then in another place, it actually calls out that the first 12 are core. The game's confusing, folks. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you there. Okay, general questions. J.O. Krell, you said we should save Electrum chests for event champions. Yeah. I think opening them all at the end of an event, right? Well, once you've unlocked the event champions, which should be right on the very first day, you can do all 3 adventures and unlock them all on the first day. Then you can open up all of those Electrum chests. And then priority should be Electrum chests, then the named silver chests you're earning, and then the named gold chests. I take the game's opinion on this. All swans are birds, but all are birds. But that's... The game is attempting to confuse you. Let's just leave it at that. Who's better, Neris or Stokey? I don't know. It depends. It's going to depend on the formation you're running. It's going to depend on the gear that they have. It's going to depend on their item levels. This game is subjective. It's not. If you try to control all the variables, you might be able to answer that question, but that's not how the game works. Azinuki, how do you get 2 feats per champion? I only get 1. You just have to keep leveling them up. There's going to be a goal. Like once you've got 1 feat, if you go to the feats tab over here for this second slot, it will tell you level the champion up to whatever level to unlock that feat. So that's progress. You're going to need a lot of favor to be able to level your champions up real far. Yeah. Is there any cron formation in the Discord? Probably. Suzuki boy, you'd have to go there and look. I don't know. I'm not the keeper of the Discord. Zill39, do we get half as much guidance when Mars is in Were-Tiger form? I have never seen Mars shapeshift, so I am not sure. I am still waiting for him to introduce his show one day when I'm watching and have him go, welcome to Mars' Guiding Hand. I am Mars, and this is my guiding hand. He's never done it, though. He's never done it. I didn't find a guide. But asking if there's a formation in the Discord and looking for a guide for Krond are 2 different things. So you need to go in the formations channel and ask people for If somebody has posted a formation for Krond. I know for a fact there are, but I don't know where they are. I don't know how updated they are, but people talk about Krond all the time and build formations all the time. So you need a Krond. Here's the thing: when you're building a formation, you don't just want any generic formation that somebody gives you. You need a formation that's based off what your champions, what your champions look like, in terms of not just what champions you have, but how good is their gear. If you try to take somebody else's formation, it may not work for you because their gear may be way better than yours, or you may not have some of those champions, right? So formation building in this game isn't, it isn't like, this group is always going to be best no matter what your gear is. Gear is really important. Gear is really important. Jail Crawl, there's no point in doing additional free plays in a time gate once you've completed all 3 quests, right? It's kind of up to you. I mean, you can go grab some silver chests by pushing further, or you can grab some favor, but generally speaking, I don't bother, personally, in time gates. I don't think it's worth my time. I grab what's easy, like the low-hanging fruit, and then I move on. Ninja Assassin, how do you get Orkira's Healing Flame to the ridiculous levels of like E25? E25 nowadays is probably going to be a combination of Orkira stacking and lots of item levels. She got some of her power reduced because there was a bug going on. But you should still able. You can easily get into the teens, the mid to high teens. Just with Orkira stacking. Orkira stacking is a manipulative gameplay mechanic that I demonstrated. I think if it's on YouTube, Gaarawarr's Guide to Heroes of the Plains. It's built around Artemis in Trary. Artemis observes positional formation abilities like Orkira's healing off of other champions and buffs it. So you go from healing, in single orders of magnitude to healing in outrageous orders of magnitude, like into the E20s. But then that's reduced. I guess we could. Let me save this real quick. Evergreens. And then I can kind of attempt to demonstrate real quick since we have some time. I don't know if I have everybody. Oh, I can't use them in this adventure. Womp, womp, womp. Let me go to a different place. In fact, let me go to a different place entirely because the buff will be bigger. The buff will be bigger. All right. This is not going to be the highest numbers because normally you would do this after you're able to soft cap your champions. So get them to level them up all the way to the point where they don't have any upgrades available anymore. That's normally your goal. I don't know that I can do that. Yeah, I can't do that on level 1. Here, at least. I don't heard this. Probably there. I haven't done this in this place before. And we'll do it there. I haven't done this in Tomb of Annihilation, I don't think ever, so potentially should have chosen a different place, but The idea here is you get Artemis in. Artemis is going to observe things. If you'll note, Artemis is only getting EO4 heals right now. If you want to make this as quick as possible, you throw in healing feats. Archon observes, though, so now we're up to EO5. Archon usurps, but then he observes. So now by putting Orkira, Archon here, where he can't get a heal because he's adjacent, but then we put him over here. Now suddenly now Artemis. He's getting a heal, and Artemis is observing it, and now we're up to EO6. And then we're off to the races, right? Then we're using Alcoria. Hey, our Evergreen Champion. Because that spellcaster school bonus, Orkira's a spellcaster, That positional formation ability under Watchful Order is that, so we're shooting for 5 stacks is what we're looking for because we're going to get a nice bonus there. So then we're going to throw a bunch of DPS around. I don't even have to level them up. We're just going to throw a bunch of magic base DPS around. I don't know. I'm going to need Narak. Around Artemis. Magic DPS. Magic DPS. What else we got? Do I have enough? I don't have enough to do it. Okay, cool. And then we'll just throw another DPS somewhere. We've got more than what we need. Let's just throw Jarlax in the front. I don't even have to level them up. I do have to level Narak up though, because Narak's Gifts the Right Focus is also going to buff Orkira's healing. And when we're done, we're looking at now Artemis's healing for E20. E20. Right? Yeah. And that means the elemental fire debuff is now up into the E14. So like I said, you can get this up decently high nowadays. This isn't the best layout. This could probably get up into the mid E20s on heals somewhere else. Yeah, somewhere else. Where we can get more people receiving it, receiving the healing around Artemis, like one more person. Would be better. Would be better. Yeah, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's how you do manipulative Orkira stacking, because then that ramps that debuff up, because the debuff is based on the amount of heals you get. So I'm in the mid-teens, I can't get into the 20s anymore because they fixed the buff. So if you want to get into the 20s now, you've got to ramp up either Lesser Restoration, Elemental Fire, Healing Flame. Like all 3 of these items effectively feed into the debuff. So there you go. Let's get out of here. Martin. Oh, question for Martin. Do you know if the Magic Core is better than the Strong Core for Krond? Here's the thing. I mean, I'd have to look at the stats, but potentially, if Krond qualifies for all the buffs, then yes. That's really what it comes down to, as if he qualifies. Hold on, let me get the evergreens back in here. There we go. Oh, that's right. I didn't. I didn't save this with. Oops, that's not an evergreen. I didn't save this with familiars on them. My bad. Okay. They can hang out there. Here's the thing about the Strong Core, or the Magic Core. You really have to come over here and you have to look at the stat bonuses. So there's intelligence. There's a lot of intelligence bonuses. If Krond qualifies for that, great. There's some charisma. What else we got? That's charisma. Is it just int and charisma? I thought there was wisdom, maybe? And this is Champions of the Magic base attacks. That actually qualifies for Krond because I think his cantrips qualify as a magic base attack. So you pick up that one. There's some wisdom. All right, so let's go look at Krond. I got to swap him in from another party. Int 13. Yes. Wisdom 13. Yes. Charisma. No, you're not getting the charisma one. But once he gets his cantrips going, that then becomes it doesn't. Again, why is it not showing here? It then becomes a magic base attack, like as part of its kit. So yeah, it should give bonuses to Krond. Is it going to be better for Krond? I think it has a lot more damage available. The Magic Core is like a glass cannon core in the sense that it doesn't have lots of health nodes. Stuff like that are like utility based. It's just all bonuses. So potentially could do a lot better than Strong Core. McNeil DJ, with all the rebalance changes in the dismantle ability, what's the new meta look like? The same as it did before. Yeah, none of that changed the meta. that I know of. Here's the thing: all the soft grab upgrades that came in have more of a chance at changing the end game meta than anything else. And I haven't had a chance to review them all because it changed for all 101 champions, right? It's going to take a little while for people to go, is that enough? Because they'll look at it as a small increase, but how much did that change end game formations? I don't know yet. Again, I don't think I think I went on record saying this yesterday. The changes to Ashara didn't make Ashara less powerful, so she still can take you as far as she could before. It just makes it harder to unlock that power in the sense that instead of needing 3 champions per bond, you need 4. But my formations were already qualifying for that. So, and it's even easier to build the second bond using half and half than it was to go short folk or half bloods originally. Or exotic, right? Yeah. So I think it's easier to get for somebody who has a full bench. It's easier to get Orkira's. It's easy to get Orkira back to at her full power with strong champions. So I don't think anything changed there. I don't have a reason to dismantle Ashara for that. Excuse me, Ashara is what I was talking about. The Briv and Human changes. The Briv change doesn't change my Briv gameplay at all. I didn't use Briv to jump bosses in variants in the first place. I just used Briv for gem farming in free place, and that didn't change. That actually got better. And then Human's change just reduces his speed effect to a more realistic amount. I'm still going to use Human as a speed champion. I was never using Human in an in-game pushing formation, so that doesn't change anything. And as far as the legendary dismantle goes, I mean, like if you feel like you put legendaries on a champion and you would rather have them on another champion, that's up to you. But those that I'm not changing any of mine. So it's been a slow rollout with rebalancing. They did minor rebalances, but those weren't meta changing rebalances. Those weren't meta changing rebalances. All of the minor changes that they've issued, the small boosts over the last 6 weeks to groups of champions that they did, those were more about taking the very lowest hanging fruit, like the lowest of the low in terms of usage in slots, and giving them a bit of a boost to try to help them get used a little more in general play. It wasn't about lifting them all the way up to change the meta. It was more about just slots. Yeah. It was more about just letting them do better work for people that are using them, and have them feel better. But I didn't see anything that was meta changing there. The closest one that could to potentially to be meta changing would have been Valendra. But even then, I mean, I think when you're using a Heroes of the Plains, if you're using a Valendra because Ashara or Krond isn't available or Krull aren't available in slot 6. Slot 6, those 3 are still shine. Then yeah, Valendra is even a better choice. But she was a good choice before if you could get through all of those. If you didn't have access to all those others. Rathmore asked this yesterday, but I missed if it was answered. Oh, I answered everything yesterday. Other than currency for opening patrons, are silver chests used as currency for anything else, or can I just open them? No, you just open chests. Just open chests. Yeah. Nope. Liking anime is okay. Why don't you upgrade click damage? Because I'm not actually trying to push. I'm just demonstrating stuff. So, yeah. I wasn't actually trying to get anywhere with this formation. JL Krell, or speed up my early progress, I should say. I was just trying to let champions do some killing in the background. JL Krell, could you say more about saving event chests than opening them in that order? No, I don't know that there's anything super helpful I can say other than the order of opening is Electrum's named silvers and named golds. I mean, you're not, generally speaking, most people aren't getting enough named event champs for it to matter to like hold golds until after the event is over. I used to do it. I don't bother anymore. Statistically, it would be better to it's better to open electrums, lots of electrums, then open all your silvers, and then wait until the event ends to open your golds. But that's only if you're opening large numbers. Most people aren't opening large numbers, just because of the way the items potentially distribute. But generally speaking, it is a better order of operations for you just to go electrum, silver, and gold. If you're not going to use that event champion right away, or if you're not worried about getting them in epics right away, then you could hold your golds until the event is over and then open all your electrums on day one, and then start funneling in silvers as you get them, and then open golds after the event is over, just to try to maximize the potential drops available, because you can get all the way up to blue with electrums and silvers. And it's more efficient to do that and then just use golds for epics. But at the very least, you should be making sure you should. It's the best efficiency is to make sure that you're not opening golds until you're at least in greens. Because golds can still drop green gear, and that would be a horrible waste when you can already get that from electrums and silvers. But the thing is this only matters if you get enough silvers, if you have enough electrums and silvers to get you to full green on your event champions, right? If you don't, then you just need to open your gear. You just need to open your chests and get the gear. Oh, Gray, that wasn't the mods. That was the bot for the last word you used. For the last part of the last word you used. And Gray's got a question. So I just got a tiny blacksmithing contract for a champ with over-leveled equipment, which was nice, but how do I know who was over-leveled? You don't. What it is you had an item over the cap. And it was most likely a slot 6 item. So you most likely capped somebody's ultimate cooldown reduction. You don't really need to know that who's capped. You could look through them all and find it, but the point of these refunds isn't these automatic refunds isn't to tell you, hey, this champion is capped. Like it doesn't matter. It's just to make sure that you're not wasting item levels on an item that already has a max effect. It's just a net positive overall. Because once an item like this one, now here's the cap, 251 for an epic shiny. It's 251. Do I have anybody at epic that's not shiny? No, probably not. Otherwise I think it's 502. So you went over that number on one of these, and instead of just having item levels that were sitting there doing nothing for you, they kicked you some blacksmithing contracts and you could put it somewhere else. There's only 3 other items in the game that currently have a cap that aren't ultimate cooldown reduction, and that's Sentry's speed item. 2 other items: Sentry's speed item and Human's speed item. That's it that I'm aware of. When you're doing Arcura stacking, you can improve it a bit by having Artemis observe it off Dritz and Cadibri if you choose his foe spec. That's less about Arcura stacking and more about building an actual formation with Artemis. For Arcura stacking, I need magic base attack, enough magic base attackers to trigger Alcoria. And then I need who would be getting in the way? Normally I would have done that with Makos, which is in Dritz slot. I mean, you could throw Dritz in, but it's usually better to have. I'd be losing a magic attacker here. If you could make it up, maybe. But the thing is you're getting 10%. Ideally, you're surrounding him with 6 magic base attackers. Or just... Ideally, you're surrounding him with 6 DPS. 6 DPS. And you need 5 magic base attack champions in your formation. Again, that wasn't the best setup because Tomb doesn't give you the best setup. But with 6, you're getting a 10% bonus off of each. With the other spec, you're getting 2 25% bonuses. I'd hate doing math on stream. Someone will have to figure out if that's the better situation or not. Gray, no channel is ever going to give you automod triggers. Hey, oh my God. Why would somebody give you a list? Why would somebody publicly post a list of things that are not allowed to be said on that channel? That's a horrible idea. The words that are not allowed to be said are offensive words. Include some incredibly offensive words. That's never going to be a thing that people give out. Just in general for everybody, so you know. The thing here isn't to be worried about. It's just if you get automodded on a channel, consciously look at what you typed out and see if you can figure out what could potentially have triggered it. If you can't figure it out, not a big deal. It's an automod. Nobody was targeting you and singling you out. It's not a big deal. Even if a mod removed it, no one's mad at you. They're just like, something about this isn't really what we're okay with being said. But they don't have time to discuss that stuff with you in channels. Just move on. Silly Simon just spotted Blueshy Spirit form is retained if Briv jumps the boss. Is this working as intended? Probably, because you didn't beat the boss. You skipped it. Right? That's the thing. For Blueshy to go back to her regular form, you have to defeat it. It says every time you defeat a boss. If you're skipping it, you're literally skipping it. You're not defeating it. It'd be nice not to get my hand slapped without knowing what I said. Again, you know what you typed. Think about that's all I have been doing community moderation, community management and moderation for the better part of a decade. It's I'm just going to say it's just never, it's not on the community to like, it's in a Twitch chat. It's almost impossible. If you think about it. This chat is slow today, but imagine a Twitch chat that has 20,000 people in it. There's no way moderators can then tell every single person what's going on. I know what I typed. It was in no way offensive. But I told you. I actually took the moment and told you that it was the last part of the last word. It should be real obvious. I'm not going to say it. It should be real obvious what got removed. Oh, okay. Here, hold on. I needed to get... I was looking for the description to make sure that people got this. Is it just over here? Yeah, each time you defeat a boss enemy, the key word there is defeat. They use that word on purpose. Now, could players potentially complain and say that, hey, when I skip a boss with Briv, I'd like that to be considered a defeat? Sure. You can give that feedback. I shouldn't say complain. You can give that feedback. But when they use these words to say defeat, that means you actually have to defeat the boss. And when you jump it with Briv, you didn't defeat it. The automod does hit inoffensive stuff sometimes due to computer error. No, it doesn't. It's a bot, folks. It's not making an error. Words are put in. The bot looks for those words even as parts of other words sometimes, and if it sees them, it removes that word. It's not a human. It's not making an error. Bots, it's just going to remove anything that qualifies. Anything that qualifies. But again, we're going to move on. If you have questions about the game and not about moderation, throw them in chat, and I will attempt to answer them. But we're going to move on with the topic. I was just trying to be nice, and this is why moderation stuff doesn't get discussed, because it just turns into this big thing that has nothing to do with whatever's going on, folks. Magic Wand, is it reasonable to try for Ikoria and Blushi to qualify for Split the Party? It's difficult for me to answer that question because I don't know. I mean, I don't know what your progress is like in the game. Normally, I recommend unlocking evergreens in order as you're completing campaigns. If you've gone past Waterdeep and didn't unlock Ikoria, I would be confused. If you haven't gotten to the point where you can unlock Ikoria, if you haven't gotten to the point where you're in Waterdeep yet, I then know, because it's challenge. Ikoria's hard. And you shouldn't do campaigns out of order, really. They're kind of meant. They start off Sword Coast, which is a variant of easy to super difficult. But then Tomb of Annihilation, super easy, easiest campaign in the game. Waterdeep, okay, normal, I would say. Baldur's Gate, hard. Icewind Dale, hard. Wild Beyond the Witchlight, hard. And when I say hard, I mean it's harder to push, because they've ramped up a lot of the values, health and damage, and it's harder to get all the blessings because they've made the numbers massively higher. So all campaigns are not created equal. It may be easier for you to just get stuff time-wise in a time gate than trying to force your way to Ikoria and Blushi if you're not there yet. I don't know. Would returning to a boss and killing it, a boss that you skipped and then killing it, revive her? It should. It should then trigger, because you never killed that boss before, it should then trigger her revival. Revival. No, wrong revival. Wrong revival. How does one get Human slot 4 epic? Time gates? Patron chests. Yeah. Time gates, patron chests, or buy Human chests in the shop for cash. Yeah, I mean, the same way you get epics for anything else. All event champions, you get their epics either by doing time gates for them, opening patron chests for them, or getting a chest for them in their event, if they are in an event anymore. Not all of them are, or paying cash for chests in the shop. Yeah. Does Nordham's Toolbox apply to Briv skips? That's a question for the developers. I have not attempted to use Briv and Nordham together. My Nordham's doing just fine in a regular speed formation in Mad Wizard. I haven't tried to Briv jump them. Briv has a weird... It should, because Briv gives you credit, gives your Modron core credit for what he jumps. Maybe? I don't know. You're going to have to ask on Dev Insights. They're the only ones that would be able to probably dig that up. Yeah. Iceman. I've been playing this game since the event after Stokey. It's quite a long time. Last question, by the way. Well, yeah, we're kind of out of time. My highest item levels are in the 600s. What am I doing wrong, or what should I start doing? I don't know that you're doing anything wrong. Everybody plays this game differently. Some people can devote more time to it than others. A lot of the overall progression of the game can require some focus or some active methods of pushing or specifically manipulating certain things like gem farming to maximize gems. Those generally tend to be what push item levels like up. Gem farming specifically, because you're buying lots of gold chests and you're turning those gold chests and you're getting bounty contracts and blacksmithing contracts. You're turning the blacksmithing contracts directly into item levels. You're turning the bounty contracts into high item levels for brand new champions. And you just kind of snowball from there. So yeah. Yeah, potentially. I mean, it's very hard for me to say. It just means you maybe haven't focused in on the things that would get you lots more item levels. You've just been playing the game, which is totally fine too. Yeah, we're out of time, folks. We got to get out of here. I will say this for the fabricators. Anyone to unlock the Nerds Champion, watch the VOD of this. It's available right now on this channel because I explained it. Or hit up my guide to nerds. But right now, no. I guess that's the TLDR. No. Unless you have this shop. Unless you have this shop and can go here and buy it. No. Soon. All right, everybody, we're going to head out with another song about an evergreen. We hit Celeste was kind of a core champion. Probably should have done Hitch. We're doing some core champion songs, I guess. The game refers to them as evergreens. We did Celeste, and now we're going to go out. I think it's Space Hamster Blues. And now suddenly I'm trying to remember, are any of the... Yeah, there's only a song for Hitch. The evergreens, but that one's in game. Yeah, you can listen to that at any time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, folks. C&E streams will return on Monday. I have no other streams this weekend or for a while, so bye, everybody.
Space Hamster Blues. I was on my way to Toro when I crashed and was shrunken down. Now I'm stuck here wandering with this loud and rowdy clown. But kicking for goodness, I hear him shout from town to town. Here we are in Baldur's Gate, fighting monsters and bell spawn. He said something about magic and swords forever won. But kicking for goodness, oh my goodness, not again. Says he lives by the sword and his tattoo is purple, but it sure looks like the blues to me. How did I end up here stuck with these weirdos, shrunk down for eternity? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Rain and mud on my face. Life was simpler out in space. Crossing stars in the astral sea. Whatever happened to me? Kicking down doors, blood on the floors, endless heroic killing spree. Says he lives by the sword and his tattoo is purple, but it sure looks like a bruise to me. How did I end up here stuck with these weirdos, shrunk down for eternity? Yeah, almost dead and it's thrill. My best friend trying to get us killed. The bigger they are, the harder he hits. Even demons and devils run back to their pits. The safety of numbers and we're with these pharmacies. Yeah. Oh. Now we're heroes and legends, fighting evil with my crew. Beholders and dragons and goblins and kobolds. May our swords strike ever true. Where goes the stench of evil, so goes the cleansing wind of Minskin Bull. So now we go for the eye. Yeah, we go for the eye. How about we go for the eye? Yeah, we go for the eye. Oh, how time flies when you're going for the eye.
It's pretty great. Holy crap. It's amazing.